Learn the most advanced recruiting techniques. Land the most desirable talent. Launch your company towards massive success. This is the Higher Power Radio Show with Rick Girard.
Today we're talking about the secret to creating a movement with your company. So if you can find a purpose for your company above and beyond just making money, you will ignite the passion of your influencers and advocates. I am Rick Girard, and welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show. Our mission is to discuss and deconstruct insights from top-performing entrepreneurs and industry experts. Every week, we uncover tested tactical solutions to solve your company's toughest hiring problems. Today, our guests, we have special guests today, I'm really happy to have you guys, are the CEO and COO of the entrepreneur movement Youngry. Ash Kumra is the co-founder and CEO, and John Reed is the Chief Operating Officer. Youngry is a united community of entrepreneurs that hustle, profit, expand, and inspire with original content, events, and e-commerce. Ash and John, welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show today. I was going to read your guys' bio, but why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves, starting with you, John.
Well, Rick, thanks for having us here.
Absolutely.
It's fun of being part of a movement. I think at the very beginning you said that we want to talk to businesses who have found a passion beside profit. Yeah. And that's really what Youngry is. That's why we're here. Both. When Ash asked me to join the team, that's really what hit me. For the last 7 years, I've worked in the insurance and financial planning world, and I worked almost exclusively with entrepreneurs. And the reason I worked with them then is the same reason I work with them now. When you're around people who are pursuing their passions, there is an energy and an aura around them. This come hell or high water, I am going to be successful no matter what it takes. Sure. And that energy, that's what drives our movement. Cool. So that's my background.
Okay, cool. And Ash, go for it, because you got quite a long laundry list of accomplishments. So.
No, that's...
Which ones do you want to highlight?
No, I appreciate that. But first off, thank you again for the show.
Absolutely.
I really like what you're doing, and we need more shows like this. So my background is, like John, I live and breathe helping entrepreneurs. My experience has primarily been in the media world. Mm-hmm. I'm a radio host. I write books. I've done a lot of public speaking. And why John and I and our team are doing Youngry is really because it's not about us individually, it's about we. And that's why being a movement and why helping entrepreneurs from succeeding with scaling, with profiting, with finding their own movement or their own message is why we are doing Youngry.
And I love it. I mean, I love your cause, and this is exactly why I wanted to have you guys on for this show, so we could talk about what you guys are experts in, which is creating a movement. So first I want to cover kind of what exactly is a movement, so we can educate some people on the benefits of what they can gain from it. And then I want to cover on the second half of the show kind of how we can draw talented people to your cause.
Sure.
So let's talk about what a movement is. What is a movement?
You know, movement has so many definitions. It's
Sure.
kind of like looking up, there's a Webster dictionary version, there's a celebrity version, there's a nonprofit version, a social impact version. For our standpoint, a movement is a common theme that people surround themselves with.
Sure.
And unlike a top-down corporate model, a movement is where everyone is providing guidance or help or support. The core of Youngry is mentoring, and
Sure.
we don't do that just by doing one-on-one sessions, like you taking me out for coffee, mentoring me. That's fantastic, but the movement is more about we provide great content in the form of mentorship. We provide events. We provide a soon-to-be mentorship app. These are all ways that you can join this movement. I think the one thing that we take pride in, and John actually said this to me once, there's a lot of universities out there. There's a lot of accelerators. There's a lot of incubators and programs. And
Sure.
they have acceptance rates. They always brag saying, hey, we have a 5% acceptance rate. Our movement is inclusive. If you have a passion to change the world,
everybody's accepted.
You can join it. Yeah, everyone's accepted. We're still, we have a criteria, but it's free and it's easy for you to join if you connect with that movement.
So it's all almost kind of like values-based activism in a way, you know. Would that be correct?
You know,
maybe not.
Well, you know, it's funny because
never heard it said that way before.
I'll let John kind of go on this further, but one thing I'll just say about it is that in order to change the world, you can change it several ways. You can become you can do social justice. You can. I saw that movie this weekend. You know the movie with Denzel Washington. It was the one where he plays a lawyer, a social activist lawyer, and it was phenomenal because he was a social activist for civil rights. And I actually thought, are we doing civil rights in a way? Yes, but not from a racial or wealth or where you live, but more from a entrepreneur standpoint. We are believers that entrepreneurship is a form of freedom, and so in a way we are activists in the sense that we promote entrepreneurship. But guess what? Anyone could be an entrepreneur. There's no hiding back. What do you think?
So when I think about what a movement actually is, it's in the Youngryverse, in our world. It's not
I love that term, by the way.
Thank you.
The
Youngryverse.
In our Youngryverse, which we're all part of.
Sure.
It's not necessarily about promoting someone's personal business. It's not that the entire Youngryverse says, let's support radio shows like this. It's not about the Youngryverse saying we're going to support social media influencers. It's not about we're going to support local US-based manufacturers of widgets. What the Youngryverse movement is all about is empowering and helping each other get to the next step along their own path.
Sure.
So it's literally just about doing what you're passionate about and living the life that you know you have to lead.
Sure. And so, what characteristics do you think are really important in order for somebody to kind of create a movement? Like what needs to be there for that Youngryverse to exist? What components?
The three words that first jump into my mind are curiosity, passion, and purpose.
Got it.
Because I think every single person that we've spoken to about why they're doing what they're doing or what led them to that, they have felt a calling to it or they felt a passion, something that gets them up every morning, that makes them feel like it doesn't matter if I'm in this alone. I don't want to be in this alone.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if I'm the only one fighting this battle today. I have to fight it because this is what I'm here to do.
And it's above and beyond a paycheck.
It's their life.
Yeah. Got it. So, in essence, like it's a shared consciousness that everybody has to have in order for that to be successful, correct?
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to describe the movement.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, cool. What about moral responsibility? I mean, like, there's different ways, I think, to create a movement, right? Yours is about kind of empowering people and making sure that there's other types of movement. Let's say somebody's got a product company. How would kind of somebody, let's just say, for example, you have a company that's a I don't know, I'm going to pick one out of the air, a Panera.
Yeah.
Right? How do you create a movement in and around that? Or franchises.
So one of our fellow leaders of our business couldn't be here. He's our other co-founder and our chief revenue officer, Encore. And
got it.
This will answer your question. Is why I bring him up. One of the reasons why we have coined Youngry as a movement is we learned from his experience. So he was the co-founder of a very prolific fitness brand, and he's consulted with various fitness products in the food packaging space side.
Got it.
And what's really important is that the thing he taught me is movements are not just pushing out this message. Movement is when your audience base is as good of a salesperson as your hired people.
Boom. I like that.
Because in our movement, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
And we're still young in our movement, but it's flattering when people come to our events and I'm like, how did you hear about us? I always find people who I've never met or have never reached out to us. Oh, so-and-so told me about it. Or I'm John's friend, and you know what? John sold me to come to this event. Or,
got it.
Or someone suggested I should write for you guys. Or someone suggested I should be a mentor. Or someone suggested that, you need to, I should join you guys in some way. Can I just pick your brain and get some informal mentorship? That's when you know the movement has a good foundation to grow.
Got it. Now, how is a movement different from being disruptive? Or is that the same thing?
Wow. What do you think?
I don't know if
that just popped into my mind.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you
cool.
know, I'm thinking.
Well, disruptive in my mind is just it's trying something new.
Sure.
And it's making something else obsolete. So I don't think they're necessarily related.
Better mousetrap.
Yeah. So one is putting something away, and a movement is, like you said, I think it's a shared conscious. So it's I think they're totally separate.
Yeah.
I think there can be things that we would support in the movement that would be disruptive, but it's not by definition.
Yeah,
I agree with that statement because I feel a movement can be disruptive is by doing tactically different things.
Yeah.
So our journey as a movement, one thing I take pride in is that we don't have a publicist, we don't have a PR marketing firm, yet we have been on Forbes, we've done interviews like this, we've been on TV shows, we've gotten followers across the country. I am bragging for our company because I'm proud of it, but I'm saying this because we did marketing a very disruptive way. In fact, if you coined Youngry right now, we went from being an idea to being on an international TV show. And that's because we did marketing our movement in a disruptive way, not the traditional startup marketing way that I often read, which for some it works, but for many it doesn't work.
Got it. Okay. So besides Youngry, which is probably the most awesome movement here in Orange County.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I got to say you guys have done a great job.
We're glad you're part of it.
Hey, I'm happy to be part of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What other kind of successful companies out there have created kind of a movement? I mean, a couple could come to mind for me is maybe like REI, Amazon in a way. But I don't, maybe just making that correlation so that one of our listeners can kind of
Yeah,
that
I actually, since we're talking about SoCal, I'm going to plug a good friend of ours who's part of our movement too, one of our mentors, a guy named Daniel. He has a company called Rostaclot. So Rostaclot is, I'm going to show to you, and I am not endorsed by him or anything, so I'm not doing this. I'm not, what they call in face, it's not a sponsored post. I'm an example of the movement. I'm an actual customer. Sure. I am selling you this idea, and hopefully you will like it and buy it on your own. That's how much I love it. That's an example of a user in the movement promoting the company as better, as good as the salespeople.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is a simple wristband, and the story behind this is that Rostaclot represents positivity. And so the whole movement behind Rostaclot is they have these people called, like, this Rostaclot movement all across the world. They're in like 100 countries. Wow. They're one of the official bracelets of the NBA. Like, if you look at, they are right now working with Clay from the Warriors, and they have ads on it. And the only way they're able to do this is because their community is like the biggest champion of it. Yeah. So that's a local consumer product example that is a movement that I seriously learn from, and I'm blessed whenever I talk to them.
Yeah, that's pretty outstanding. So we're gonna take a quick break. We're talking to Ash Kumra and
John Reed.
John Reed. CEO, co-founder of Youngry, and the COO of Youngry. Wow, I just had my brain fart moment for the day. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to transfer your, once you build a movement, how to draw talented people to it, and build a successful company.
You're listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard, giving you access to recruiting techniques that will help you hire key talent to build your company towards real success. Rick is a recruiting executive and entrepreneur who's been successfully recruiting in the aggressive Silicon Valley technology landscape for the past 2 decades. After a very successful stint at Apogee, he founded Stride Search in 2012. Based on a lean efficiency model, Stride has uniquely positioned itself as a leader in retained search for the most critical talent hires within a small organization. Whether you're a startup executive or recruiting professional, by listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard, you will walk away with skills to help you attract and hire great talent. Now back to Higher Power with Rick Girard.
And welcome back to the show. My name is Rick Girard, and you're listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Our guests today are Ash Kumra and John Reed, both the CEO and COO of the Youngry movement. Before the break, we were actually discussing what a movement was, and now we're going to talk a little bit about how to build your own movement. So now let's share with our audience how you guys actually built the Youngry movement, because it's a pretty fascinating story.
Yeah, let's take a step back to spring of 2016. I had
more hair then.
I had a realization at that time that I needed to do something that was about we instead of I. I was doing a lot of self-branding stuff, and I was a co-founder in businesses, but it was still, I wasn't really harnessing my true power. And so Encore, our co-founder I mentioned, had come to me and said, hey, like, I have this idea. I've owned this domain, and I think you can build the first entrepreneur kind of movement. So I'm like, click, let's do it. That time, from the day we decided to do it, I thought, okay, how do we focus on just getting the word out in an organic way?
So what was the idea of why did you want to do an entrepreneur network?
Not a network, a movement.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, no problem. You always find something you can't do. You always find something you don't have right now. That's the that problem solution pitch that entrepreneurs do. So I couldn't find a movement. If I knew about an entrepreneur movement in my earlier heyday as an entrepreneur, or the times when times were tough, I probably wouldn't do Youngry because I would be part of that movement and I'd find a way to join them. So I couldn't find it. And number two, I thought to myself, if I stepped into my game again in the early stages, the young and hungry stage of my life, what would I want? And
that was a long time ago for me.
So for us, it was.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off gear.
It's okay. So the movement for us was the genesis of why we needed to do the movement.
Yeah.
And you know what? The whole moniker around equity, crowdfunding, and audience investing in your business and supporting you even as a follower is so connected to the Youngry movement, because if we're for entrepreneurs, let's have us be by entrepreneurs. So that's why we've been such advocates of the form of equity crowdfunding and getting the audience to invest in us alongside traditional venture investors.
Got it. Okay. So you guys came up with the idea.
Mm-hmm.
What steps did you take to create this movement?
So when you launch whether it's a movement or nonprofit or social impact or an app, whatever, you launch a business three ways, I feel. One is you MVP it, minimal viable product. Number two is you go out, or you can go out and get investment. We thought, well, we don't want to do an MVP because first impression's a lot. It can affect you.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't want to get investment for an idea stage because the valuation would be significantly low, and I don't want to go back and forth with investors at this stage.
Yeah.
Or three, we can take advantage of a new marketing vehicle that can also provide us capital. So we got into that's how we got into equity crowdfunding. And serendipitously, the very prolific investment platform AngelList was spinning off an equity crowdfunding platform. They didn't want to directly do it because they're known for angel investing, accredited investment, etc. They wanted, but they were involved with the Title III Jobs Act. The founder Naval worked with Congress on that, etc. Mm-hmm. So some of the AngelList execs, their general counsel and one of their key product guys, created AngelList blessed them, like spun it off, and the knowledge of how to build online investment they brought into this equity crowdfunding platform. I bring this up because we were one of the first 4 to 5 companies who launched on their platform last summer, and our whole moniker was, at the time we were saying we're the ESPN for entrepreneurship. We don't use that anymore because we're a lot bigger than that, and it's a little razor. It doesn't fit what we're doing. But at the time, we still said we're a movement for entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But it was cool because at the end of the campaign, we got over $60,000, which was amazing. That's how we launched Youngry.com. But more important, we got tens of thousands of followers through our social channels, and we got over 130 investors. Some of them are key advisors to us.
Wow.
Some are some well-known names, and some, which we take the most pride in, are the young and hungry audience members who have become contributors now, have supported us with events, who are just in spirit, hey, I'm not involved with you day to day, but I just want to help you any way I can.
Yeah.
Case in point, we did a 10-city tour last summer. I got my trip taken care of for Chicago, Phoenix, and some other cities from members of our movement. And this was before our site was even live. We were just pitching the idea.
Got it.
That's why, so if you're creating a movement, don't assume that you have to have a physical product or an offering. It's more of the spiritual idea side.
Yeah. Now, how did you get so many people to follow you, to become members?
You got to have a common message.
Sure.
Again, the moniker of young in spirit, hungry, and ambition connects with a lot of people.
I think this goes back to the first question, our first area of discussion, which was, what is a movement? It's that shared consciousness.
Yeah.
The reason why it becomes self-fulfilling and the reason why it has momentum across the country and now international is because it resonates with so many people.
And it is all-inclusive.
Yeah.
That's it. We're all in this together.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I mean, so really what we're looking at is kind of like building in human needs, playing toward whatever your brand is, right?
Sure.
And not necessarily human needs, but just that need, the need that you have when you're an entrepreneur to be part of something.
Yeah.
Because, man, like as you said earlier, when you're setting out on your own, it's
lonely.
It's lonely
at
path.
the top, as they call it. You know?
Yeah, totally.
It's a very lonely journey, and so we're here to say, look, we are all lonely together at some time. So let's bond about it. It's not an AA session, but it's like, hey, like, look, we're in this together, like John said. There's likely someone in our movement or someone we know that has experienced what you've experienced, or is on the same path of growth, or whatever things are happening in your journey.
Now, where are you now? Where's Youngry now? You have how many users?
Yeah.
How many?
So, just going back to the equity crowdfunding. So last summer, 2017, a few months ago, we had a Jesus of a moment, and we're like, all right, what do we do? Nice. We spent about a year building this business. Youngry.com was live in January. We were known for good quality content. Our online following was growing, and we were about to put on a national event summit for millennial entrepreneurs specifically. But I was like, that's not enough. We got to go deeper. We need to build a lasting business now. The movement and the branding, okay, it's cool. Training wheels need to go off, literally. Yeah. And so how do we accelerate the business? So when John joined our team, one of the things that happened is that we needed to really build a first-of-its-kind collaborative mentorship app. Because as we talked about earlier, mentorship's the heart of what Youngry's about. Yeah. Taking aspects of our content model, taking aspects of our event model, and then putting a supporting mentor app platform to make it virtual. So serendipitously, Republic, the investment platform we used, reached out to us saying, hey, are you interested in doing another equity crowdfunding campaign? I'll be honest, it was a lot of work. Yeah. And for a minute, I was like, I'm not sure. Not no, not yes. I'm not sure. But then they said, well, just so you know, we're working with Sony and venture capitalist Tim Draper and his family to do a first-of-its-kind show where you pitch your business, and the audience has a chance to not only invest in you and support you, but also it'll help entice the investors who are the judges to say, oh, maybe I should back them at the end of the season. Yeah. So that was how we got into doing it again. But what I've learned from this experience is, and it's funny because I sent an email yesterday to someone from Republic because we were going back and forth on strategies to get more awareness. We're not just doing equity crowdfunding anymore as a way to support the movement. We're doing this TV show now to show that anyone who has an idea from a movement standpoint can go all the way to being on a national TV show.
International.
It's international. So it is. So now we're like advocates of trying to get on TV now. Because sky's the limit. The whole norm of what you said, being disruptive, again, this is an example of being disruptive in your marketing. No PR budget, no TV accolades. Yeah, myself and our team, we've done a lot of good stuff in media, but none of us are like TV stars to go command a presence on a TV show. It's because the movement calls for it, and people in the outside world, outside the Youngryverse, are like, all right, we need to now join this Youngryverse.
That is so very cool. So, you mentioned John joining, right? Yeah. So this movement drew you to them, right, John?
Ash drew me to the movement.
Okay.
So I've been, as I mentioned before, I've been doing financial planning insurance strategies for ultra high net worth families across the country for about the last 7 years. Okay. And I've been working through other advisors. So if you're talking about a family that owns a major manufacturing company in Florida, their financial advisor would typically call my firm. We would consult for them and put together their insurance portfolio.
Sure.
Now, this was a very lucrative role.
Sure.
It's a very hard position to acquire. I loved what I got to do because I was helping people who typically were entrepreneurs prior to their level of financial success. What I realized was that's what was driving me every day. That's the part of it that I loved, was that I was serving people who went out there and followed their passions and their dreams and made a difference.
Sure.
And because I've worked with so many financial advisors, I had helped them grow and start their own practices. And then I started to realize that I loved my job for two levels now. I loved that I got to work with the successful already, and I loved that I got to work with those who are trying to increase their level of success.
Sure.
And I turned to Ash as a confidant and a friend. We joke a lot about being spiritual brothers. And I told him I was ready I need to move on and actually start my own business that was directly focused on helping people start and grow their small businesses.
Okay.
And I wanted to do this in an online platform to give people a group to turn to and an easy way to do it. And he goes, yeah, do it with Youngry.
So let me ask you
this. That was it.
If your last company had a movement behind it, would you have stayed?
I don't know that it's necessarily the movement piece of it. It's that I wanted my everyday. If I think about my everyday life, the actual things I'm doing, I want to go talk to people from multiple backgrounds. I want to go talk to people from multiple places, and I don't want to just do it in the United States.
Sure.
I really view our economy as a global force.
Sure.
And as maybe this is too deep, but as there's more computers and machines taking the hard lifting jobs that we have used for a long time away and making them automated, what's going to be left is people who are pursuing their passions and doing things that haven't been done yet before.
Yeah.
And those are all going to be entrepreneurs trying something new. And so I feel very called to helping people follow those pursuits for that reason, for longevity's sake.
So, but the movement is what drew you to Youngry, right? In essence.
What drew ahead. Yeah. What drew me to it was the fact that it was doing exactly what I loved on this platform. What I think the reason why people want to be part of it is because they feel that passion as well.
Sure.
That we've aligned those energies, and those people who are following their passions and pursuits are getting support and resources and planning and programming directly from us that hits their heartstrings.
Got it.
I want to end on one note about that, because you asked about careers and hiring people.
Yeah.
Why John was the perfect fit. Why I was the perfect fit when Encore asked me to join when we're in the co-founder stage. Why our team, who we bring on board, or mentors like you and contributors, is because we all have had a common drive to want to be a change agent. And so when we look at hiring, it's not just about your resume or your LinkedIn or whatever. It's about that energy and that forward thinking, progressive, not liberal or conservative, but progressive.
Well, I think the point that I was just trying to get to with John was that, hey, you had a great career, right? Where you were. You didn't necessarily have to make a move. And a lot of people don't move their careers because of the money, right? But you needed something higher. And the fact that you joined Youngry because of the movement, right, is impressive.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where you're getting really good people.
Yep.
And that's where I think the point of the show is, if you're creating a movement, you're going to get the best people.
Yes.
And if you're just trying to create a job for somebody, you're not going to get such great people.
As well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a lot of words. Yeah. So, all right. Well, you know, we're actually just about out of time for today's show. So Ash and John, thanks again for the time investment of being on today's show. And welcome to the Higher Power Radio community.
Thank you.
We're going to add Higher Power and Youngry. Maybe we'll team up, do a joint, venture thing, right? Now,
sounds good.
Hire Youngry.
Yeah. Oh, or Youngry Power.
But get it? Hire Youngry career.
Yeah, I like that. That's even better, right? So let's give a plug for Youngry. What's the best way for people in our community to reach out and find out more?
So we're right now, join our movement. The easiest way is join Instagram. Stay Youngry is on Instagram.
Okay.
Go to youngry.com, sign up. There's a link, there's a box that'll say sign up from an email. You'll be in our inbox, and then you'll get access to our email updates whenever we give them. But social Instagram, Stay Youngry, STAYYOUNGRY,
yep.
or youngry.com, YOUNGRY.com, and you should see a membership box that says just sign up.
And you guys put out a lot of content too, so that people can learn.
Yeah.
That's really important, I think, for a lot of people. So I want to thank our listening audience for tuning in to this week's episode of the Higher Power Radio Show. A quick thanks to our team, our engineer Paul Roberts, our producers Andrea Ballin, Shanti Ryle, and our executive producer Kim Iverson. To listen to this show and any past episodes, you can check us out at higherpowerradio.com. That's HIRE. We're not a religious show, guys. Or Higher Power Radio on iTunes. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn at Higher Power Radio Show, or me at Twitter at Rick_Gerard. We have another great show lined up for you guys next week. Tune in Tuesday at noon on OC Talk Radio, and you'll find out who it's going to be. I'm your host, Rick Gerard, and you have been listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power with Rick Gerard on OC Talk Radio.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything. Your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services, life skills workshops, job skills training. We provide the perfect interview outfit, and we get clients placed in jobs. Call Working Wardrobes, 714-210-2460. Donate, volunteer, invest, hire.
When it comes to pioneers in their respective industries, we all know the Apples, Starbucks, and Trader Joe's of the world. In the realm of recruiting, Decision Toolbox is the industry's best-kept secret, with 90% of their business from referrals and repeat customers. For over 20 years, Decision Toolbox's U.S.-based team of recruiters, sourcers, professional writers,